Awesome. Yeah, yeah, they were fun.
So then, now I got three more questions for you.
Okay.
And by the way, you think of anything else, just throw it out there. I mean, I say three questions, but I go for however long you want to go for. Um,
Okay.
and then I remember I tried to call you one day. I don't know what I was going to do. And I think Ice were doing our second 7 inch, and you're gone. What the heck happened? I wanted to ask you that all
Oh
these
my
years. Where have you
gosh.
been?
I was dreading this question.
Only say,
it
I mean,
was.
honestly, you don't like if you want to tell me privately, like I can edit and also
No,
whatever
it
you
was
want.
yeah, no, it was really sad because my I had I think I was doing like a year to year lease, and I did that for like 3 years on that really big, the last building that I was in. And oh, the building got sold. And the new owner came to me finally and said, "Hey, your lease is coming up and we want you to sign a 10-year lease." And I'm like, "Are you crazy? I'm working with starving musicians. It would be business suicide to sign a 10-year lease."
Is that
And
because
I,
breaking leases is just? I mean, I don't know about other states, but like breaking leases in California can be really exorbitant if you have to do
oh,
that.
oh yeah, yeah, you might as, I mean, it's probably better to just kill yourself than to try to break a lease. I mean, it's horrible. So scared me to death. So finally, I dragged it out as much as I could, and then finally, I said, "Hey," because I was 100% sure that nobody would sign a 10-year lease with the economy the way it was and everything, and people were kind of struggling.
This is
Inflation
like
was,
94, 95 ish
it
time.
would have, yeah, more, yeah, 92, 93. I think it was right, yeah, because that's
Okay.
whenever I moved to Florida. Yeah, so it was, it must have been, yeah, early 90s. But yeah, so I said, "Hey, why don't we just do month to month, and and I'll start looking for a building, and if I find a building, I'll give you 30 days notice, and if you find a tenant, you give me 30 days notice." And they agreed to that. So I kind of went out and started looking for buildings, and it's just, I mean, they just don't want recording studios in their buildings. So it's really hard to do. And I was like, and I'm going to have to build this thing out, to be a recording studio because I'm probably only going to find a shell of a building with nothing in it. And, so it was just getting harder and harder. And, but this went on for like 4 or 5 months. And I didn't, I probably should have trusted you guys more or had more faith in you guys, to believing in me, to let you guys know what was going on. But it just scared me that I thought you guys would just move on, going, "Oh, I'm not going to record with him anymore because he doesn't even know if he's going to have a building tomorrow." So it was scary. So finally, one day, the guy called me and he goes, "Hey, we've got the building rented." And I completely freaked out because I had to be out. I don't think he ended up giving me more than 30 days. It might have been 60 or 90 days that he gave me to get out. But I just I was so tired because I was doing it all. I was running the business, I was recording, I was, cleaning the bathrooms. I mean, I was doing it all, and I was just getting really tired. And there was a part of me that wanted to get into film work, and my brother had moved to Orlando. And back then, maybe you don't know anything about it, but like Orlando was going to be Hollywood East.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
well, that's literally what they were calling it. And the governor had like this huge thing, incentives to get film, crews in there and stuff, and it was coming on like gangbusters. So I just kind of went, you know what? I think this is just a time to let go of the studio and kind of start over, get a fresh start, and get out of California. Um, I mean, I grew up there. I was there for 34 years. I loved California, but so I ended up, bailing and moving to Florida. and unfortunately, shortly after that, the film commission went away and all the production stopped. But I did manage to work with it. I got hooked up with a band called Tabitha's Secret, and they went on to be Matchbox 20. So that was, that was cool. So I did get I did kind of get a little bit of a start here, but then I just wasn't sure. It was getting time that I kind of needed to make a decision to get a building and figure out if I wanted to do the studio again. And then
At that time, what were you operating out of? Were you working from? You weren't working from.
I was just working out of my my apartment
Oh, okay.
that I'd gotten. Yeah, I was doing digital editing and cassette duplication, and then small runs of CDs.
All things that you could do from home without requiring, like, hey, I need a studio space to do this, and this. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was doing, cassettes were still around, so I was doing a lot of cassette duplication, that kind of stuff. And then pretty much got to the point where I was kind of starving to death, and ended up at Disney as audio tech, doing the castle show at the Magic Kingdom for Walt Disney World. And then, oh gosh, it was only like 6 months after that, I found out there was a recording studio underneath the Magic Kingdom, and they offered me that job. So then I was doing that. I was doing a lot of voiceover work down there for the parks, for all of the parks, and some of the commercial stuff. But then one thing led to another, and they were building Animal Kingdom in the late '90s, and I knew a guy from Walt Disney Imagineering was bringing me in projects to do background music for certain lands and stuff in the new park. And finally, he came in one day and said, "Hey, they're trying to get this thing done. They're behind schedule, and they offered me a job, so I took it. And but it was only a 4 month contract. So but I figured it was pretty cool working for Walt Disney Imagineering. I mean, it's the most creative company in the world, basically. But
I mean, look at it. Look at it now. I mean, it owns everything. I mean, it owns.
Exactly. Yeah,
it owns Star Wars, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Who would have thought that was going to happen? Yeah, ABC and Star Wars. But then just to go on it, I ended up working for Imagineering for 15 years, and then got laid off. And then they called me one day and said, or it was about 3 weeks later, they called me and said, "Hey, we need you to start your own company. We want you to do the 5 projects that you were supposed to do before we laid you off." And I was like, "That's kind of stupid, but I didn't want to starve to death either. I didn't want to lose my house. So that's whenever I started another production company, and then they've been feeding me lots of work over the let's see, I think that was in 2009. And then I've been I did a long stretch with EA Sports. I did 7 years. They were throwing me projects for 7 years. I did Madden, NFL Blitz, NCAA football. I did NBA Live. Did Tiger Woods.
Any boxing?
No, didn't do any boxing. No.